We want to continue the conversation on TikTok's political turmoil, the app under fire over allegations it can be used for spying or to influence public opinion on behalf of China. Talk of a TikTok ban first began during the Trump administration by way of history here. Joining us now, Keith Krach, chairman of the Krach Institute for Tech Diplomacy at Purdue and former Undersecretary of State under the Trump administration. Keith, thank you for joining us here today. You were just listening to Rochelle outline some of the what's been going on here. But just big picture, there's bipartisan support for this. How did we arrive at this point here?
Well, this is one of the most unifying issues on Capitol Hill. Both sides of the aisle agree that the Chinese Communist Party is the top national security threat. And they understand that China's playing the long game. They're playing for keeps, and technology's their key weapon. And no matter how you look at it, TikTok is controlled by China, by the Chinese Communist Party, from a structural standpoint, from a legal standpoint, from a data governance standpoint, and also from a leadership standpoint. And the fact of the matter is TikTok is programmed to be weaponized. And if China can weaponize a balloon, think at what they can do with 150 million Americans at their mercy.
So we have this very popular social media app in the U.S. It looks like Congress may take some kind of action here. But what is the potential? What are some of the potential solutions here? Even if Congress doesn't take the action, you were involved in some with the previous administration. Just what are the options that are still on the table at this point?
Well, I think the big option that's on the table is the PROTECT Act, which would give the authority to the Secretary of Commerce, Gina Raimondo, to ban any technology from our adversaries that's a national security threat. One of the other options as well, and we did this when I was Undersecretary, is the Clean App and also Clean Store. So Google and Apple can remove it from their phones. There's and obviously there's a lot of things that are going on in the states. 30 states have banned it, universities have banned it, those kind of things. But if you look at what TikTok is doing, they're tracking every keystroke. It gives them access to everything. But the thing that's really interesting is that it's not just about you as the user. It's about everybody you digitally interact with your friends, your business associates, your family. It's like a weaponized digital virus. And the TikTok virus can infect everybody around you. So that's why really the only vaccine is a total ban.
I want to get into, we'll save this for a minute, into some of the Communist Chinese Party's potential uses for this. But you mentioned Apple and Google. These are two linchpins in the app distribution network. And arguably, I mean, almost without a shadow of a doubt, that TikTok is operating in a huge gray area with respect to their policies. If Apple and Google were to remove the TikTok app from their platforms, that would immediately accomplish a lot of the goals that you're seeking. I'm just wondering what kind of pressure to date has been on these two huge tech companies to do something like this?
Well, I think there's been a lot of discussions along those lines. We had discussions with them. What they will do is they will obey the law. And that's why this piece of legislation is absolutely so critical. Because if you think about it, what TikTok is, what Huawei is, what Tencent is, all these Chinese apps, they're an extension of China's Great Firewall, where all the data comes in for their own malign use, but none goes out. And then reciprocally, all the propaganda goes out, but the truth does not come back in.
And you write and talk about some of the fusion between the military and the civilian populations over in China. And you mentioned the weaponization of this technology. Could you just go into some detail about the potential bad actor uses of this?
Absolutely. So, it tracks your keystrokes. That means that they can see your bank records. They can see your health records. They can track where you are, where you've been, potentially where you're going. And I mean, think about if a conflict breaks out, what they can do with that information. They have access to all your passwords, all of that. So this app is built to be weaponized. And the other thing too is that I've got 11-year-old twins, and this app preys on children. It is built to be addicting. It's disguised as candy, but it's really cocaine.
I mean, you could describe several social media apps as cocaine potentially. I'm just wondering, without you get rid of the weaponization features, is TikTok really more harmful than, say, an app like Snap or Instagram in the U.S.?
Well, by the way, there's social media, and then there's TikTok, and there's no comparison. Big part of it, and this is coming out in the hearing, is that China has a National Intelligence Act. And here's what it says. It says that any Chinese company, state-owned or otherwise, or any Chinese citizen has to turn over any information, data, proprietary technology upon request to the Chinese Communist Party, or you suffer the consequences, you go to prison. So they are obligated by law. That is the huge difference.
All right, we have to leave it there. Really appreciate your insights. Keith Krach, chairman of the Krach Institute for Tech Diplomacy at Purdue and former Undersecretary of State. Thank you.